So about a year ago, I made a video on my favorite robot masters. Don't watch that video, it's a load of cancer. Like, it's seriously atrocious. The thing was made before Mega Man 11 got released, so obviously it's a bit outdated. So yeah, I'm redoing this one. I'll be taking into account their stage, fight, weapon, concept, all of the above, so please enjoy. Mega Man 10 is basically Mega Man 9, but weaker. And the Robot Master selection was a step down from 9, but it still had some that were pretty good. Sure, Blade Man has the triple blade, but looking at the entire package, Solar Man takes it. Solar Man is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated Robot Masters in the series. Seriously, it looks like he's got the freaking sun on his head, and that solar blaze can get pretty nasty in the fight, as he'll constantly be throwing that down towards the ground, which splits on the ground. And with the uneven arena, it's pretty damn hard to dodge. He can even absorb your shots to send a bigger solar blaze your way, the fiery bastard. But hey, if you have the water shield, you can end this fight in literally seconds, and that'll net you the solar blaze, which pierces shield, so I'll take that. But my favourite part of this guy is the level. Platforming on the conveyors over lava whilst dodging everything was throwing, and it has one hell of a music piece. So anyone who lives in England knows how much the weather just can't make up his mind. One minute it could be boiling, the next it's chucking it down. As such, I'm convinced Tornado Man stage takes place in England. This stage takes weather to the freaking limit. 1 minute it's cloudy whilst you're jumping on magnetic platforms, then it's snowing dealing with ice physics, before it's chucking it down on the home stretch with wind affecting your jumps. Yeah, I'm definitely sure Nightmare stage isn't the only one that takes place in England. But yeah, I enjoyed the gimmicks of this stage, and I also enjoyed his fight. He may only have 2 attacks, but both of those are dangerous. His most common attack is sending up 4 tornadoes, which boost your jump height, into the spikes on the ceiling, and dive bombing on you, which is only hard to avoid because of this game's boneheaded decision to ditch the slide. Even with his weakness though, he's still a challenge since he's in the air for most of the fight and the plug ball just travels along the ground, which is something I wish more Robot Masters had, a challenging fight even with their weakness. And his weapon is also a nice screen nuke that can also help you jump higher and makes Megaman a complete joke. I can easily see why he's the fan favourite of this game. One of the things I liked about Mega Man 11's levels was how they kept it to 1 or 2 gimmick tops and using them to their full advantage. The sections with the changing chemicals is a pretty cool idea, but it doesn't really add too much to the level until near the end. The real highlights are the underwater sections. The currents are fun to mess around with, the spikes are in positions that are going to get you the first time round, the mini boss is fun to fight, and it even has a couple of very tricky jumps at the end, all backed up by one of the best stage themes in the series. As for his fight, you gotta be careful, as he can put up an acid barrier, because artificial intelligence actually exists, which you need to shoot out to peel away, whilst avoiding his acid shots. But watch out for those acid blobs coming out of his shield. After that's been destroyed, he can even cause acid tidal waves and fire acid shots from multiple angles. It isn't merely an easy fight, but I often go for him first anyway, mainly because his weapon is incredible. It blocks all projectiles and allows you to shoot whilst the shield's up, which no other shield in the series had done up to this point. Though to be honest, you're going to be using this on the power gear, which also damages enemies on contact. Have fun getting through Gear Fortress Stage 1 without it. Mega Man 11 was the perfect comeback for Mega Man, and this Robot Master is just one of the reasons why. We'll get to some others later. Mega Man 2 is the game that introduced me to the series, and it's still a really fun game, but man, the Robot Master selection is pretty weak. There were some that were okay, some that were lame, and some with stages that suck. Metal Man wasn't one of those. With his stage making great use of the conveyors and having so many energy tanks, making this a great guy to go after early. And those conveyors are even used well in his fight, as that can change without warning. Meanwhile, he's firing his saw blades at you and jumping around the arena, making for an exciting fight. Though if you have any knowledge of this game, you already know the best part of this guy. It's his weapon. It fires in all 8 directions, tears through multiple enemies, has insane power, and uses almost no ammo. It's so overpowered it actually makes the game more fun. It's only a few immune pigs away from snapping the game in half. It even snaps his own fight in half, which is kind of funny. But seriously, what kind of design flaw is that? If he has one accident throwing saw blades, well, he might just be scrapping a few seconds. Apart from that though, a pretty cool Robot Master. Mega Man 6's Robot Masters were, for the most part, a great representative of that country. Like Centaur Man clearly being based off the Greek Centaur, Yamato Man's having Japan written all over his stage, and with all that snow and round design, Blizzard Man makes a great representative of America. Or at least I think it would more than Tomahawk Man. Still love this Robot Master though, which you can probably tell by the fact he's on the list. His stage is my favourite of the 8 to play through, as I think it uses the rush adapters the best, which were my favourite parts of the game. The power adapter is well used to discover secrets, whilst the alternate routes made great use of the jet adapter. And sure, whilst this fight isn't anything too great, as you can just slide or jump over everything, seriously, the hardest part of this fight is getting up close to him if you use weakness of flowers, seriously? The Silver Tomahawk has to be one of the best weapons in the game, since it curves upwards above jumping shot high, and it can 1 or 2 shot almost anything, and there's plenty of enemies positioned well for this. Mega Man 6 may not have had the strongest lineup in the series, but I still love this game. But with Mega Man 7 being my favourite of the series, it was predictable it was going to show up high on the list. Whilst not every Robot Master in this game was good, when it got a Robot Master right, it really got it right, including the former king. Yeah, a couple of things kind of bother me about this guy, but we'll get to that. His stage looks like a robotic Jurassic World, and it's my favourite in the game to play through. 1 minute you're doing Super Mario Bros. 2, then you're riding a dinosaur shooting down enemies, outrunning a T-Rex, and on the home stretch, you burn down a forest and murder newborn dinosaurs. All the stage is missing is a couple of awesome death scenes, but the issues with this guy come from the fight. For the most part, it's really fun. Dodging the slashes feels really satisfying. It's when the eggs drop down. They drop down way too fast, and you have very little time to shake them off before he pounces at you. But admittedly, that pounce does feel really satisfying to dodge. If the eggs came down slower, he would have been much higher. But hey, the Slash Claw is a great weapon. Whilst it doesn't have the best range, it has insane power and can be deadly at close range. Mega Man 4 has easily got the worst selection of Robot Masters in the series. Like seriously, Dr. Kozak cannot make good ones for the most part. I say for the most part as I do believe there to be one major exception. Tundra Man has a lot going for him to make him one of the best ice-based Robot Masters in the series, especially because he has my favourite ice level. With his gorgeous visuals, brilliant song, fun as heck to fight mini-boss, and platforming of the wind is bliss, especially when the wind blows in your favour. But they were kind of putting that really hard part at the end, which makes getting a game over here all the more agonizing. I certainly know how that feels. His fight isn't as agonizing though, because it's actually a really fun fight, even if it is really easy. All he does is skate around the arena and try to catch you out, as well as activating his speed gear, which makes him skate around the arena like he's on steroids, before activating his Tundra Storm in the center. If you just stay on the edge of the arena whilst he's using his speed gear, that Tundra Storm will never get you. Thing is, if he's spinning fast enough, he's immune from damage apart from his weakness, so it's a nice test of your reflexes and shot timings. But even on superhero mode, I had no issues. But hey, you get an awesome screen nuke on the power gear out of him, so that's awesome. Especially if he makes those sections with the one-hit flames in Torchman stage bearable. He may be able to get the gold medal in a figure skating championship, but he'd only be able to get the silver in the Ice-Based Robot Masters championship. Especially when the pillock shows off, leaving himself wide open. The gold medal goes to... Ice levels tend to be very hit or miss for me, as the slipperiness can be annoying at times, and this series definitely has some annoying ones, but at the same time it also has some really good ones. Okay, yeah, the level design is an example of playing it safe, but it's still a lot of fun. I mean, the ice physics don't make me want to tear my hair out, but I can look past the safe level design, because the cheeky bastard's fight is crazily fun. With the help of his freeze cracker, you can fire it at the ground to make the ground slippery and potentially trap you, fire it right at you to freeze you, and at the ceiling to drop spikes down on you, all of which happen at the same time whilst he runs around the arena and jumps when you shoot. Yeah, have fun dodging all of that. I know I sure do. And his weapon, whilst not the strongest, can be fired diagonally, and it's helpful in several of the bosses in the game, but he's not my favourite Robot Master in Mega Man 7. The next entry is. Like I already said, the old list is really outdated, not to mention that it's a load of cancer, with most of my opinions changing. But there is one thing I said in that I still agree on. Cloudman is still the most underrated Robot Master in the entire series. His stage is a load of fun, with the weapon changing gimmicks affecting the invisible platforming sections, enemies coming out of pits that you can actually react to, not that that will stay around for long, and a really nice stage theme. And his weapon is also really powerful, even if it is a little basic. It's very similar to a charge shot that you don't have to charge. I used it all the time though. But arguably the best part of this guy is the boss fight with him, where he can fire lightning at the ground and causing it to chuck it down and blow you away, which is strong enough that you can't outrun it, requiring a slide to avoid slipping off or going into him, all the while shooting lightning where he's immune to damage, requiring you to time your slides, jumps and shots well. It's a blast of a fight, but one thing I can't ignore is how he reacts to his weakness. If you've ever wanted to see how much you can humiliate a robot master, then use the danger app on this guy. Thankfully the rest of this guy is really cool, and my favourite in Mega Man 7. Electricity is awesome. It's how I play video games, it's how I get below average content out, and it gave me my new favourite robot master. This spot was actually really hard to decide, but after multiple playthroughs of Mega Man 11, I found that Fuseman is one of the most consistently awesome robot masters in the entire series. And you can see that as soon as his stage starts. His main gimmick is these fuse beams you need to dodge, and it feels so good and satisfying timing everything to evade these. And for being the only gimmick of the stage, it never gets boring because it's used in some really creative ways. And that fight of his is my favourite in the game. He'll send out orbs of electricity around the arena and zip all over firing lightning bolts at you, sometimes out of reach from your buster. He can also use speed gear to zap down on you, but you can use your own speed gear to tear this part apart. It feels so good and satisfying dodging all of this that I'm actually noticing a running theme here, because that also applies to his weapon. Most ground-based weapons aren't that great, but this has several advantages, as it fires in both directions and towards the ceiling, and it can wipe out multiple enemies assuming you're on the power gear. So yeah, I love a lot about this guy. What kind of idiot was I putting him at only number 6 on my Mega Man 11 Robot Masters rank video?